Welcome back to another episode of Comment and Kick It. It's your host, Bando. I'm going to talk a little bit about this amazing matchup, this violent matchup we got, the rematch between Justin Gaethje and Rafael FIZIEV. I'm going to talk a little bit about that UFC 314 card, and I want to discuss Ilia Topuria at 155 because I really haven't gotten into it yet. So let's talk about it. Let's go. So Rafael FIZIEV gets a chance again to go up against Justin Gaethje. He's getting an opportunity to right that wrong in his career, and it's a difficult one to right. That's for damn sure. After Dan Hooker pulling out, FIZIEV stepped up, took Justin Gaethje on short notice. Nobody wants to take Justin Gaethje on short notice. Rightfully so. I don't know why anybody would step up for that fight. Shout out to FIZIEV. Very smart man, because if he gets that win, it's huge. It's huge what it can do for his career. Not only does he bounce back from having that loss on his career, to also short notice win over Justin Gaethje. That puts you back in the conversation of being in the top 5, especially when the competition is running low. You need some new and fresh faces up there. So it could be interesting. We know this fight's going to be war. The first time we had it, it was war. It was an absolute slugfest, right? I wouldn't actually, let me draw back a little bit. It wasn't an absolute slugfest, but they went to war. They definitely scrapped. FIZIEV wasn't scared to get in there and get the swinging, but you saw that the boxing of Justin Gaethje caused FIZIEV to wear out. I mean, FIZIEV was throwing a lot, and he was throwing with power. He was looking to knock Justin Gaethje out. Justin Gaethje's been in those firefights a million times. So he doesn't panic in those moments. He knows what he's doing, and he was able to outbox FIZIEV, end up beating him through the decision. But it was a really good fight. It was back and forth. They both beat each other up pretty well. So I think this fight is going to be very similar. But it's going to end in a finish, this one. I don't see this one going to a decision. I found out it is a 5-round fight. I don't see this going to decision. I do see this being a fight that finishes early. The best thing that could happen for FIZIEV is for FIZIEV to go in there and not fight the slugfest, not fight the firefight, and not be an exciting performance. But in a moment like this, it's hard not to fight that type of fight because you didn't get a full camp. You know what I'm saying? But you have trained for this guy before. Justin Gaethje doesn't make a ton of changes from his fights. I mean, it's just a little bit more sharper on each one of his tools, but he doesn't make that many adjustments or changes. He doesn't give many different looks or anything like that. So there's not much difference that he had to come in with this for FIZIEV, but at the same time, it's a difficult one. But he can come into this fight and fight this fight patiently. He might be able to do it. Work the kicks to the body, keep working the kicks to the body, work the kicks to the body. Try to get Gaethje to start dropping his hands, keep him at a distance, start snapping the kicks to the head, work the legs. I mean, obviously, you don't want to get to trading leg kicks with Justin Gaethje, but if you have to, get to trading leg kicks with Justin Gaethje. Work the body, though. I think the body is the main thing. If you could try to wear out Justin Gaethje, if you're FIZIEV and you're planning on going to war, you're mentally assuming that you're gonna go 5 rounds, right? Then you might as well come in with that mindset. All right, I'm going to wear him down over time. The same thing that he pretty much did to FIZIEV in the first fight, right? I think FIZIEV needs to not get drawn into that firefight. But sometimes Justin Gaethje could be a real problem when it comes to patient fighting. I mean, we saw patient Justin Gaethje against Tony Ferguson and took the soul of Ferguson on that night. I mean, he single-handedly murked El Kukui. Tony Ferguson still fighting. El Kukui got murked that night. But This one's going to be a war. Like I said, it's going to be exciting. I just think that FIZIEV, if FIZIEV goes in there with a more patient outlook, he might have a better chance of winning this fight than going in there with the slugfest. Now, Justin Gaethje's coming off of a knockout, getting flatline KO'd. But it was just about a year ago now. So, I mean, was it 10 months? It's been 10 months? Yeah, something like that. 9 or 10 months. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how he trains. If he trains with a lot of, you know, hard sparring. I see those body shot things that he does with a lot of his training partners, but I don't know if they do crazy hard sparring or anything like that. So it just depends on how that chin's recovered. And Justin Gaethje's chin has been through hell and back, and hell again, and then back again. That man's chin has been through a lot, right? So I don't know. I could see FIZIEV being able to do exactly what I said, working the body, being able to wear Justin Gaethje out ever so slightly to get Justin Gaethje to drop his hands and end up getting a finish. But that is not my prediction. That is not what I'm saying is going to happen. We got some time until that fight. I think that fight that's next week, right? Next weekend? Yeah, so UFC 313 is next weekend. So I'm going to have a breakdown and everything for that. That's a really nice card. You got King Green going up against Mauricio Rufy. You got Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo. Jalen Turner going up against Ignacio Bahamondes. Ooh, when they put that on the card, I fuck with that fight. You got Gaethje and FIZIEV as the co-main event, and then obviously the main event, Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev. So I'm gonna break that down in an episode or two here. But I wanted to talk about UFC 314 a little bit. I know we skipping ahead, not breaking this down. I just want to talk about it because, man, that card is stacked. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff with the Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett fight of what this does for Michael Chandler's career, right? You had Michael Chandler a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, building himself, planning on fighting Conor McGregor, and the fight never came to fruition. Obviously, Conor McGregor couldn't get his shit together, couldn't make it, and he ends up taking that fight with Charles Oliveira. Doesn't want to sit out anymore, takes that fight against Charles Oliveira. Now, that is a difficult fight to bounce back to, very difficult fight, but it was a rematch that he wanted, and it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Just at the time, it made sense. Getting that loss, it now kind of put Michael Chandler at that. He's a gatekeeper. He's now going to start gatekeeping. If he loses to Paddy Pimblett, he's either got to retire or he's going to start gatekeeping. MMA Guru has been saying it for a while. He's been saying that Michael Chandler now needs to fight somebody on the come up. He needs to fight somebody who is on the build up. We can't give him somebody that's in the top 5 or anything anymore. And I agreed with that. I really did, because it's like, all right, besides the fact that you put on exciting fights, you're not getting to the belt. So why would you continue to fight guys in the top 5? It doesn't make sense. So at some point, you got to become a gatekeeper. But if he wins against Paddy, he holds down his spot, it's very interesting, because I don't think Michael Chandler came to the UFC to be in that position. But I also don't see Michael Chandler 100% retiring just because he couldn't get a belt. I could see him wanting to continue to put on exciting performances. I was just thinking about that today. I mean, I know that's just is a random thought. I'm like, because yesterday I made the gatekeeping video about Jose Aldo, right? And I feel like that's what they're doing to Jose now. They're trying to make him a gatekeeper. I feel like Jose's a legend of the game. Really sucks to see that, and he's one of my favorites of all time. I feel like Michael Chandler loses to Paddy Pimblett, and that's the position you're going to start seeing him in. I'm not saying that is him right now, because not necessarily. I mean, Paddy Pimblett is still like a star, so you still got a big fight because you're fighting another guy with a big name. So it's not necessarily 100% a gatekeeping fight, but if you lose this fight, that's going to be your position. I was just thinking about that today. That's it. That's all. Now, do I necessarily think Michael Chandler loses that fight? No. I think Michael Chandler could win that fight. I really do. But the thing about Michael Chandler is every single fight he's in, I believe he could win that fight. But he doesn't do what he's best at. He doesn't work at what he's best at, right? He likes to go in there and try to get that highlight reel, right? And I understand. I understand. He eats up the crowd, bro. He eats up the energy. You know, he has such crazy energy. Win, lose, or draw. You know, but when you go out there and get a highlight reel finish, the energy's maxed out. So he's always looking for that. He's always trying to get it. And I think sometimes that really just takes him away from the fact of how good he is with everything else. You know, he needs to just put the game together in this one and not become a gatekeeper, not allow Paddy Pimblett to get past you and then put you in a position where other guys are going to try to get past you to work themselves into the top five. You don't want to be that guy. No one wants to be a gatekeeper, right? And I think with Michael Chandler, if he goes out there, works the ground a little bit, but like everybody gets his back. Don't let Paddy get your back. Dustin got your back. Charles got your back multiple times. Now, granted, you know what? Matter of fact, let's talk about this for a second. That is crazy. Dustin Poirier got a rear naked choke and got the win against Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira had his back twice and couldn't get it. What the fuck? That's crazy. But Paddy's another guy you don't want to get your back. You know what I'm saying? He is a dangerous jiu-jitsu guy. I know people don't like to give Paddy a ton of credit because of like the character he is, but he's not a character. He's just Paddy. You know what I'm saying? It's just he's just himself. You know, but at the same time, I understand how, you know, some people get annoyed with the way he is, but I think he's just a good energy for the sport. He brings a lot of eyes to the sport, and I think he's a lot better than we think. But the one thing that he does do, and has not changed in any fights, is he keeps that chin up. He keeps that chin up and he's fighting a guy who's a little bit more threatening when it comes to the power and a little bit more threatening on the ground. So when the game plan, you know, when the backup plan comes in, it's a little bit more dangerous when you're messing with a guy like Michael Chandler. So Paddy's got to be very careful in his entries. Can't make any mistakes in his entries. He's got to be smart. He really does. Because if he gets cracked by Michael Chandler, he's going to sleep, in my opinion. But if he gets Michael Chandler's back, I could see him tapping Michael Chandler. I want to get into Volk and Diego Lopez a little bit, but I don't want to dive too deep into it yet. I want to get to breaking that one down fully because I just feel like there is so much to talk about when it comes to Volkanovski because a lot of people are just writing him off because of the fact that he lost, you know, 2 back-to-back KOs. And I understand. I've been watching the sport for a long time. I get how it goes. When a guy goes 2 back-to-back KOs, it's the start of the downfall. You know what I'm saying? You really don't start to bounce back anything crazy, and especially in these types of fights. He usually needs a fight that would put him in like almost like a guaranteed knockout position, like a guy that shouldn't even be in there with him. You need sometimes a tune-up. That just it is what it is. But this is a very difficult fight against an extremely powerful puncher in the division too. Diego Lopez hits hard as shit. If you watch, he knocked Brian Ortega out and woke his ass back up. Literally, watch the sequence. He knocked his ass out, woke him back up in the same sequence. He probably just shouldn't have threw that last punch, but he was already in the middle of the combination. And he's got a lot of power. If he lands on Volk, if he could time Volk, and Volk can't do that hand grab and keeping the hands low stuff in this fight. He's gotta bring in a different type of look, keep the hands high, go for a more boxing type of thing. Still keep the same movement. The movement always served him well. He just can't he just can't back up. 2 times he backed up, back against the cage, gets knocked out. Has nowhere to go. He gets knocked out. So you just can't do that in this fight. But I'll have like a full-on breakdown for that. You already know. That's a huge card. Huge card. But UFC 313 is next. I'm going to be coming through with a breakdown of that soon. So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Your boy Bando is out. Peace.